New York State Racing and Breeding Law, Section 102, provides that the New York State Gaming Commission shall consist of 7 members, appointed by the governor by and with the advice and consent of the Senate. 6 members having been confirmed by the New York State Senate affords the commission an ability to establish a quorum and undertake action. This present meeting of the Gaming Commission is now called to order. Ms. Secretary, will you please call the roll?
John Crotty.
Here.
Mark Aaron.
Here.
Peter Machete.
Here.
John Baclemba.
Here.
Barry Sample.
Here.
Todd Snyder.
Here.
Ms. Secretary, please have the record reflect that a quorum of qualified members are present, thus enabling the transaction of business. Chairman Guerin.
Thank you, and good afternoon. We begin with the minutes of the commission meetings from February 23rd, 2015. They've been provided to commissioners in advance, and at this time I'd like to ask if there are any edits or corrections or amendments to the minutes. Hearing none, Madam Secretary, please let the record reflect that the minutes were adopted. Next is our report of the Executive Director. Rob.
I have a couple updates on the Gaming Facility Location Board, some on horse racing, the Lottery Division, and commercial gambling regulatory work groups. First, with the Gaming Facility Location Board. Since the last commission meeting, the board met and unanimously approved a report and findings, effectively concluding the 2014 request for applications process. At that same meeting, the board approved a new RFA for Zone 2, Region 5, subject to commission authorization. A copy of the final report was electronically provided to each of you for your review in anticipation of today's meeting. So in horse racing, March 28th ends the Aqueduct winter meeting. It had been scheduled for conclusion the previous week, but NYRA had requested and was granted 3 additional days commencing March 26th. Those days are in part to try to make up for some of the lost days that bad weather caused cancellation. The end of the meeting means the movement from the inner track to the main track. This upcoming spring Aqueduct meeting is highlighted by the 91st running of the Wood Memorial set for April 4th. In addition to the Grade 1 Wood, April 4th will also see 3 additional graded stakes races, including the 115th running of the Grade 1 Carter Handicap. The Wood Memorial will be the first of approximately 12 races this year that will be conducted with enhanced security protocols. As for the lottery, earlier this month, the World Lottery Association granted the Division of the Lottery its Level 3 Responsible Gaming certification. The advanced accreditation recognized the Commission's ongoing efforts to apply a strict responsible gaming framework to its products, advertising, player education, and activities. With the Level 3 certification, New York joins only 5 other lottery jurisdictions in North America in attaining that distinction. And then finally, the first commercial gambling rulemaking work groups have been established. These are for disability access, problem gambling, and workplace diversity. Approximately a dozen people have expressed interest in the disability access, 20 for problem gambling, and 15 for workplace diversity. Initial contacts with interested parties have been made, and materials and questions regarding each topical area have been circulated.
Great. Thank you. Anything else for Mr. Williams, Commissioners?
Congratulations.
Yeah, that is noteworthy. Thank you, Rob. Next on our agenda is rulemaking. The New York State Racing Pari-Mutuel Wagering and Breeding Law 104.19 authorizes the Commission to promulgate rules and regulations that it deems necessary to carry out its responsibilities. In that regard, the Commission will from time to time promulgate rules and rule amendments pursuant to the State Administrative Procedure Act. And today we have one rulemaking item for consideration. Rob will outline the proposal.
Sure. Item 4A regards rules pertaining to gaming facility request for application and gaming facility license application. Specifically, on March 31st, 2014, the Commission promulgated emergency rules prescribing both forms for the request for applications to develop and operate a gaming facility and several forms necessary to consider and process applications for gaming facility licenses. By publication in the State Register on July 16th, 2014, September 10th, 2014, November 12th, 2014, and again on January 7th, 2015. The Commission will extend, and again on March 4th, 2015, the Commission extended the emergency adoption. The March 4th extension is set to expire on April 14th. Accordingly, for Commission consideration is the readoption of Part 5300 as an emergency rule, with such readoption to be filed with the Department of State prior to the expiration of the current emergency rule. The text of the rules has not changed since the initial emergency adoption on March 31st, 2014. While the public comment period has expired and no public comments were received, permanent adoption of this rule should be considered when the Commission has before it the broad set of proposed commercial casino regulations that are still in the midst of being drafted. Commission staff recommends readoption of this emergency rulemaking.
Thank you, Rob. Commissioners, any questions on the readoption of the rules pertaining to the gaming facility request for application for gaming facility license applications, with such readoption to be filed with the Department of State prior to the expiration of the current emergency rule, as outlined by Rob? Any questions on the readoption of that? May I have a motion then to readopt the rules pertaining to gaming facility request for application and gaming facility license application? Motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the motion that's been made and seconded? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Rob, would you call the next item?
Certainly. For continued Commission consideration is a proposed request for application to develop and operate a gaming facility in New York State in Zone 2, Region 5. Recollect that last month the Commission briefly discussed the concept, but reserved full consideration until after the Gaming Facility Location Board had released their report and findings regarding the RFA from 2014, and the board itself had adopted the proposed RFA. As I mentioned at the most recent meeting of the Gaming Facility Location Board conducted on February 27, 2015, the board unanimously adopted a final report and findings regarding the 2014 RFA and unanimously adopted a new RFA, sending it to the Commission for its review and consideration. Commission staff has reviewed the new request for application and sees no impediment to Commission adoption.
So, to the Commissioners, any questions on the adoption of the new request for application to develop and operate a gaming facility in New York State in Zone 2, Region 5? Any questions?
Sorry, this is a procedural vote on our part. This is what the Facilities Location Board wants to do, and provided it doesn't cause us any hesitation as to a means of accomplishing it, that's all we're addressing.
The procedural piece. Any other questions? Well, may I have a motion then to adopt the request for application to develop and operate a gaming facility in New York State in Zone 2, Region 5? Motion.
Motion.
Motion been made and seconded? Second. Any discussion on the motion that's been made and seconded? When I call a vote, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries. I'd like, given this, to announce that for the purpose of the RFA, the Commission is now in a restricted period. All individuals interested in discussion of the RFA or RFA procedure should contact either Gail Thorpe or Stacy Relation in our Contract Administration Unit. Their contact information is explicitly listed in the RFA and is identifiable on our website. Next on our agenda is new business. Does anyone have any new business to consider?
Mr. Chairman, I raised with you a personnel matter that I have had the occasion to have some conversation with the other commissioners in one-off conversation. If you have the opportunity, would you please raise that with Rob Williams and get back to us?
Certainly. I'll follow up to your request.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other new business?
We had discussed one matter. We had discussed some period of time ago looking at LASIKs for was a suggestion, I think, of one of the trainers, John Kimmel, who said, why don't we look at LASIX in grade 1 races and in 2-year-old races, 2-year-old stakes races. These are where all the breeders come from. This is the horse stock that gets passed along. They're all predominant grade 1, not every single one of them, but certainly on the male side, they're all grade 1 winners, and a lot of them are champions at 2 as well. So I think it would be useful now that we have sort of uniform rulemaking in place to take a look at this and maybe convene a panel or an open forum to discuss this in a way that can educate us a little more. It's still a controversial topic. Other jurisdictions have looked at this. I think it would be good for us to understand the science behind it and what we want to, what would make sense for us as a state to put forward.
I'm in total agreement with that. Total agreement.
To have a forum.
Yes.
So we could, task Rob and his staff to sort of set something up and invite some of the experts in and then hear what that would mean or could mean.
Sure. It's very timely, as I believe the Kentucky Racing Commission today is considering something very similar.
Yeah. Great.
We'd be happy to create a forum for that, for your education.
And we might as well make sure we follow what comes out of their efforts as well.
Well, if they do it right, we won't have a choice. You'll have to. No, right? I mean, if Kentucky acts, which I think is not dissimilar to what would happen if we act, the majority of the flesh goes through the 3 big companies, NYRA being one of them.
I guess it depends on how they choose to act.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so Rob, you have the generalized sense
Yes,
of that?
certainly. And I'll work with Commissioner Crowdy to make sure that we hit the points that he's interested in.
Right.
Any commissioner should.
Yes.
Any other new business? Okay, old business, the last agenda item I think we have formally here. I would like to just say at our last meeting, in conjunction with the National Problem Gambling Awareness Month, we talked about the formation of a few public forums around the state that I mentioned at that time, aimed at providing education and awareness regarding this important issue. And we asked Lee Park to coordinate our efforts in this endeavor, making contact with our colleagues in the Responsible Play partnership in the New York State Office of Alcohol and Substance Abuse Services, as well as the New York Council on Problem Gambling. I'd like to ask Lee to provide an update for us on our efforts to date.
Certainly. Starting in April, the Responsible Play Partnership will be hosting a series of 3-hour events across New York State. We initially plan on holding 5 such events. Each will start with a comprehensive town hall meeting for prevention and treatment providers to earn continuing education credits and discuss where the gambling industry is heading in New York. The latter portion of the event will be an exhibition/trade show where local providers, gaming facilities, and other interested parties can showcase their services and programs geared toward responsible gaming practices. The Commission, OASIS, and the Council will all have displays at each event, and we are inviting facilities overseen by the Commission, including VLT facilities and racetracks, Indian casinos, and new commercial casino operators to participate. We expect problem gambling prevention and treatment providers based in each region, as well as local elected leaders in general will also attend. And of course, any commissioners who are available on the dates that we end up settling on are available. We encourage them to participate and attend as well. These meetings will bring together all the stakeholders into one room to share ideas, hear concerns, and at the very least, put names to faces for all those involved in promoting a responsible gaming environment. We expect to hold the first event during the week of April 20th in Queens, followed by similar Start the Conversation events in the Capital Region, Western New York, Central New York, and the Hudson Valley. One other note, the Commission is working on public service announcements to further increase awareness of problem gambling and promote responsible gaming practices. And we should have more details about that at the next meeting. And finally, I'd just like to acknowledge that all of these responsible gaming efforts have been due largely in part to the work of Director of Community Relations and Education, Carolyn Hateman. So I extend my thanks to her for her hard work on these projects.
Okay. Thank you, Lee. This is excellent. This is a poster
Yes.
that
That's gone to
Widely
all,
circulated.
yes, that's gone to all of our licensed facilities, recognizing that March is Lead Problem Gambling Awareness Month and supporting the National Council on Problem Gambling's message to have the conversation.
And this follows up to the hearing we had last year in Albany. Fellow commissioners attended, so thank you for your leadership on this. Any other old business to consider?
No, just a question, do we have Oasis involved?
Yes.
So
Okay,
Yep.
so,
they're one of the 3 prongs that
Very
are
good,
yeah.
responsible for the partnership.
They were helpful when we were in Albany together.
Commissioner's been very, very helpful and very, provided a lot of assistance with us in the development of this.
Thank you very much. I'm very grateful and excited about this, the regional hearings. Terrific. Okay, the next is just housekeeping here. Today's meeting concludes, consistent with our practice. The next meeting we have scheduled is April 27th, to our past practice of the 4th Monday of the month. And please advise Ms. Buckley of your availability. That is the conclusion of today's published agenda. Any other items to consider? Any of the commissioners were present for consideration? Well, hearing none, then this meeting of the New York State Gaming Commission is officially adjourned. Thank you very much.
thank you.